As we know, ever since Black Ops 3, the specialist characters have been becoming more and more of a storyline, and come Black Ops 4, they have now introduced specialist stories and an overarching story to explain how the specialists came to be. And one of the most mysterious specialists out of all of them is Spectre from Call of Duty Black Ops 3, who is oddly not returned in Black Ops 4. But what if I told you that within the story of Black Ops 4, it actually reveals the true identity of Spectre? That is what we're going to be exploring today. In yesterday's video, I talked about 3 new specialists possibly coming to Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and asked you guys if you wanted me to explore Spectre's true identity and make more videos revolving around the overarching story of the specialist characters, and the overwhelming response was yes. So, if you would like to see me continue this series, talk about the story even more, dig even deeper, all you have to do to show me is simply hit that like button and let me know down in the comments. But I'm not going to hold it back anymore. Without further ado, let's discover the true identity of Spectre. Now, to fully understand this, we first have to explore who the characters are within the Black Ops 4 Specialist campaign, if you want to call it that. So, as we start off here, we are at a cemetery, a grave site, and we are introduced to 3 big characters. The first of which is who the grave actually belongs to, which is Jessica Mason Green. The second 2 characters, the taller blonde lady is Savannah Mason, who is Jessica Mason Green's sister, and the smaller blonde girl is her daughter, Lucy Mason Green. Now, the story then goes on to show a mission that Ruin Battery and Jessica Mason Green go on, where things don't turn out quite so well for Jessica.
They got bleeding edge shit. We're just waiting for us. Someone pick them off. Abort mission. Breaker, abort breach.
And just like that, Jessica is shot in the face. And at the end of this kind of mission, it is shown that Jessica is laying there dying with kind of half of her jaw hanging off of her face. Cut back to the cemetery, and then this is when Savannah Mason says this.
Your mom was, she was very brave. Just like her grandpa.
Her grandpa? Who is that? Obviously, it is Alex Mason, one of the main characters in both the Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 campaigns, and actually a character we get to see later on in the story. Now, in the next scene, we see Ruin and Battery waiting for some more specialist characters to land at this mansion. As we find out, this is Savannah Mason's mansion, and this is actually the first time we get to see all of the specialist characters together.
Lighten up. She's the real deal.
What are we getting into here?
With what she's paying. Anything she asks for, mate.
This kind of shit doesn't exist.
She's planning some battle.
More like a war.
Vision pulse. Man portable. Fuck.
I'm thinking bigger than battles and wars. I brought you here to change the world.
What do you have in mind?
So Savannah Mason, as it turns out, looks to be the spy from Black Ops 3, the character that brought all of these specialist characters together to train to become super soldiers. How do we know this? In the next scene, it is stated that all of the characters are now in the simulation and are actually talking to Frank Woods, a character we of course know to be dead, but we can see him here within this simulation.
Welcome to the immersion. Your instructor has been activated. His methods are unconventional and often nuanced. But if you want to fight and
Mason! Better be goddamn good. You woke me up.
Sergeant Frank Woods.
So how does this all tie into Spectre? Well, as far as the rest of the story goes, Savannah throughout the story slowly becomes more and more evil, and the reasoning isn't very clear. It's something I can cover in a future video, but the overarching thing that Savannah is working on throughout this kind of campaign is something called Project Blackout, which you may recognize the name to. Once again, this is something I'll have to cover in a future video, because one, it's really confusing, and two, it would make for a very, very long video. So as Savannah becomes more and more evil throughout this campaign, we find out that her sister Jessica Mason Green was actually trying to fight against her before she actually got shot in the face and apparently killed. Next, we are introduced to this mysterious hooded figure.
Listen to me very carefully. Watch your back. Everything you know is wrong.
And then at the very end, there is a cutscene that sums everything up, and I'm just gonna play it for you and then explain it afterwards.
No one gives a fuck about you. You're a number. An asset. A pawn in someone else's game. The fuck? How are you?
There's no time. They're here.
Your exits are compromised. Find another way out.
What the fuck is going on?
I'm sending you a safe house address. Make sure you aren't followed.
The specialists are Doc. Are they still alive? Who wants us dead? They've been manipulating you, watching you, exploiting you. And when they get what they want, they'll leave you for dead.
Lucy, this is Donnie.
Jessica? You... How? Alone, you can put up a fight. But together, you can start a war.
So there's a lot to take away there. First of all, Jessica Mason Green is alive and well. As you can see, she kind of has this metal bottom jaw with a voice changer, which, don't worry, we'll get to in a minute. Also, Lucy, her daughter, is there with her, which means that Jessica Mason Green actually kidnapped Lucy away from her sister Savannah, and now they're one big happy family and back together. Now, obviously, as you can tell by the title of this video and the theories that I'm sure you've heard around the community, the idea is that Jessica Mason Green, aka Alex Mason's granddaughter, is Spectre. So the question is, what is the supporting evidence for this? Now, the first thing, the most obvious thing, is the voice changer. As we know, in Black Ops 3, Spectre has a voice changer because, well, it's pretty obvious. Just listen to the voice.
Things are very rarely entirely as they seem. The key is to try to grasp the bigger picture.
And then whenever we hear Jessica talk with her voice changer, it sounds similar, maybe not quite as manly, but definitely a voice changer is in place at that point.
Listen to me very carefully. Watch your back. Everything you know is wrong.
Now, the second piece of evidence is the fact that Spectre actually has a little bit of a crush on Ruin, aka Donnie Walsh. How do we know this? Well, in Black Ops 3, in Ruin's transmissions, it says this.
Be kissing our internal organs goodbye. Yeah, exact turn of phrase.
Think you got called sugar at one point.
Yeah.
And this would allude to Spectre being a female or a gay guy, one of the two. But all in all, I don't think that piece of evidence is that incriminating. I think the biggest thing of all is the fact that, one, Jessica Mason Green already has an implanted voice changer, and a reason as to why she would want to hide her face hence why you never see Spectre without some sort of face mask on. Now, as far as the big piece of evidence that everyone is using to disprove this theory is the fact that Spectre has a lack of boobs. No, I am not kidding. There could be a lot of reasons for this. Number one, as you can see, it doesn't appear that Jessica Mason Green is a very busty lady. On top of that, there are things like sports bras that compress them titties. And on top of that, Spectre is wearing armor, another thing that can compress the breasts even more. So I don't think that's necessarily a piece of evidence you can use to disprove this theory. However, there is one big piece of evidence that simply doesn't line up, and that is the timeline. Now, once again, going back to where we were first introduced to Jessica is the gravestone. So, as we can see, her birth date is July 2nd, 2013, and she died, apparently, on September 5th, 2043. Now, the one thing we do know about Black Ops 3 is that it takes place in the year 2065, which would make Jessica Mason Green at the time of those events 52. And don't get me wrong, a 52-year-old can be jacked, a 52-year-old can do some crazy stuff, but it makes it a little less believable that Spectre is a 52-year-old at the time of the events of Black Ops 3, simply because Spectre is supposed to be this stealthy, sneaky, agile assassin, and that doesn't really sound like a 52-year-old. That being said, there are some pretty damn jacked 52-year-olds out there. In fact, Joe Rogan, who is probably on steroids, but at the same time 51 years old, could absolutely kick the crap out of me with probably only one kick. So does this eliminate the idea that Jessica Mason Green could be Spectre? No, but it makes it less likely. But personally, I have another idea. If we go back to this very first scene, we know that it takes place in 2043, simply because that is when Jessica Mason Green, quote-unquote, died. Now, the little girl that is at the grave at this time is probably between the ages of about 5 and 7. So we know that in 2043, let's just call her 5, which means in 2065, she would actually be around the age of 27. Now, to pull in some real-world stats for you, as far as the athletic peak of a female, it first of all depends on what you're comparing. For example, baseball is from ages 27 to 30, but other things like track and field, women hit their peak around the age 21. So it would make a lot more sense for a character to be 27 and performing the acts that Spectre performs in Black Ops 3 than 52. However, there is less supporting this theory. For this to work, Lucy would have to take her mother's voice changer, take after her mother with all of her war efforts, and then become Spectre. Whereas Jessica Mason Green, all she has to do is put on a suit and get in a fight. So as far as if you ask me, personally, I believe that Jessica Mason Green does turn out to be Spectre, and I'm guessing that we're going to actually get to find that out if Spectre is added into Black Ops 4. For those of people asking how is it possible for her to do these actions at the age of 52, you have to remember at the time of Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, cybernetic augmentations, prosthetic limbs, and direct neural interfaces are all parts of your everyday life, so it is more than possible for older people to be able to do more and more physical tasks. So why bring up the Lucy theory? I simply wanted you guys to have all of the facts so that way you could make a decision for yourself. So I'm curious, who do you think Spectre actually is in real life? Personally, based on all of the information we've looked at in this video, I believe that right here you are looking into the face of Spectre. I believe that Jessica Mason Green is Spectre. But hey, that's my opinion. If you disagree, feel free to let me know down in the comments. And guys, if you enjoy this type of video, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. It would show me that you want to see a lot more like this, and trust me, I can do a ton more videos like this one. So if you enjoy this kind of thing, the way to show me is hit that like button and let me know down in the comments. But guys, if you enjoy this type of video and want to stay up to date on the rest of my videos, the best way to do so is make sure you hit that subscribe button and have notifications turned on. So guys, I hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace out.
We are real.